The following video will briefly and succinctly demonstrate how the commonly and scientifically accepted definitions of design science and design dynamics
do something they are in no way, shape or form capable of, because this is a theist debunking video, and whatever it is they are trying to achieve, they never can, because God, if such a creature exists, really hates them and loves to watch them suffer, and obviously loves me, because he keeps sending these fools into my gaping maw to be etted alive. Thanks, God. You a bro.
destroys the pseudoscientific assertions of evolution postulation.
Well, I don't know what evolution postulation is, but if it's anything like the theory of evolution, a big pile of science that is used to demonstrate our understanding of the factual fact known as evolution, I have a funny feeling that it absolutely isn't going to happen, because frankly, you people have been trying to get rid of the Evolve boys for years, and yet the stubborn facting guy it just won't go away and keeps on being. What's that thing? Oh right, true.
Evolution postulation states that the complexity, order, and design dynamics so clearly observed in our world of the scores of millions of living things, along with their systems and subsystems and sub-subsystems.
I don't think anything says any of that in the way that you are saying it. What you are saying sounds like a religie boy trying to make definitions of evolution quote-unquote postulation that isn't accurate to what the actual science says about it, possibly in an attempt to then refute that thing that nobody is saying, and then being a big-brained smart guy who defeated the Evolves. Although, since that never happens, it will be a big surprise if that is what you are doing. He said, every word dripping with sarcasm.
Originated accidentally, randomly, without intelligent input or design, from non-living to living, from a magical soup of slime.
Well, would you look at that? Exactly what I said would happen, down to the use of a bunch of shit that literally no one says within the science, and certainly has not said for a really fucking long time if they ever did. Although what it could be is things said by people who don't understand evolution or what the science says about it, so yeah. Perhaps this vaunted evolution postulations means things that aren't evolution, which at that point, why are you even bringing them up? You don't believe it, we don't believe it. Cool, moving on. Although you will never move on, what's the fun in that?
Let us begin with the Wikipedia definition of design.
It's weird that Wikipedia definitions of random words would be your go-to for refuting evolution. That's like picking up a recipe book in order to prove that engines don't provide forward kinetic motion to cars. Basically, why the fuck would you do that unless you're stupidly insane or insanely stupid?
Now, I use Wikipedia in the major definitions because it cannot be argued that Wikipedia is decidedly biased towards the evolution proposition.
Now, here's the thing. Having watched further into this video, I know what he meant to say here, but funnily enough, being a smart guy using the definitions of words to debunk scientific principles instead of, facts about reality, he immediately fails to use words properly, probably because he doesn't know what they mean. If something is biased towards, it means it is in favor of. It supports it. It is in line with it. What you meant was, it isn't biased against it. Fantastic job after 0 frickin' seconds.
With this bias, then, we give the evolutionist every advantage in formulating definitions. So here it goes.
Who gives a shit what the definitions of words are in this specific context? All that matters is if the word evolution and its definition go in line of what we observe about reality. And guess what? It does. Now, it would be no fun to stop there, even though by rights we could, but I'm just making it clear this shit is doomed from the very premise of what you are even attempting to do. And the fact that you don't even know is wild. That, or you do know, and you are trying to trick people into thinking you have some kind of point. Probably a little bit of both.
Design. The Wikipedia article begins by saying, no generally accepted definition of design exists.
Well, I don't know which Wikipedia article you are using, but the one that currently inhabits the space under design has absolutely no problem defining the word design. A design is a concept of either an object, a process, or a system that is specific and in most cases detailed. Design refers to something that is or has been intentionally created by a thinking agent, though it is sometimes used to refer to the nature of something. And of course it goes on. Now, maybe you're using some kind of obscure Wikipedia article, maybe you're using an older version of it, but the fact remains. What is written on Wikipedia, as we all know, is subject to change, seeing as articles are updated over time to increase their accuracy and citations. Although there's every chance in the world it never fucking said what you are claiming, and you just hoped and prayed that anyone watching this video would either not check or not care because they want to believe that evolution is false. You know, like the intellectually honest fellas they always tend to be.
Have you ever noticed the trepidation of secular scientists and wordsmiths to give concrete definitions to words that may be used against their revered magical faith of evolution?
Well, aside from the fact that this is what showed to me the guy doesn't know how to use the word bias, which is of course incredibly ironic, what the fuck is any of that supposed to mean? First off, Wikipedia is not the scientific community. It's a community, sure, and I'm sure scientists contribute, but it's not some cabal trying desperately hard to make sure everyone believes evolution. That is some insane conspiracy theory shit right there, my dude. But second, even if it was, that wouldn't change the fact that the evidence supports the conclusion that evolution is a real thing. That's just how science works.
The wiki articles for intelligence or language or species all begin with similar statements.
Nope, nope, and of course, nope. It's funny how everything you are currently attempting to achieve is thwarted immediately by the most cursory of fact checks. Where exactly are you getting your information? I mean, I know that your video is somewhat old, but seriously, I doubt these articles changed that much over any amount of time, that they went from "we have no idea what these words mean" to having extremely lengthy and in-depth definitions. Definitions, mind you, that will likely have existed for a lot longer than Wikipedia has existed, and will largely have transferred from the dictionaries and encyclopedias that were once the home to such definitions, more or less. It's almost like you are entirely full of shit, my friend.
No generally accepted definition exists for any of these words.
Yeah, that's just not true. Why are you lying? Why are you sitting there just saying things that aren't even close to reflecting reality? The only thing that maybe I could see myself to understanding in this case, maybe where you are coming from, is that these words are complicated and some of them have more than one definition. But that's true of almost every single fucking word ever, because language is fluid and it changes over time. But that doesn't mean that words don't have generally accepted meanings. You can ask 1,000 people to define most of those words, and I would bet you dollars to donuts that you would come away with the consensus on a lot, if not all of them. And the only way you would assume otherwise is that you just don't have a clue how language works. At which point, you shouldn't be using it to refute ideas you don't like and make yourself look like a fucking idiot.
Wow, no wonder secular science is so pseudoscientific.
I mean, I don't know what secular science is as opposed to, science, since science done right is more than likely going to be secular. But yeah, sure. Your inability to words and your lying about what Wikipedia says proves that secular science and the pseudo boys. Although at this point, maybe he's right, because he thinks that pseudoscience means true and accurate scientific thought.
They don't even know what they're talking about, or how to define what they are talking about from the outset.
Projection, thy name is? Carl Gallup. Oof, what a name for a fella who has made a bunch of rapid claims in a row in order to overwhelm an opponent so that they can't answer everything, thus allowing the author of the statements to say, "See, they couldn't answer everything, therefore I am correct." Like, are we entirely sure your first name isn't actually Gish?
But listen to what Wikipedia does finally say about the definition of design.
Wait a minute, I thought you said it doesn't define design. Surely anything it says after saying that should be immediately and entirely ignored. Or is that the quote-unquote bad thing it says that don't support your position, and then the good things it says do in every single instance? Again, seems to be the only appropriate response to anything you happen to say.
Design as a noun. Number 1, informally refers to a plan or convention for the construction of an object or a system.
Wait. After everything you said at the beginning, the thing you claimed that Wikipedia article said, first and foremost, is entirely untrue. And you just sit there and prove it in your own video. God damn, man. Are you actually serious? I feel like I'm being pranked with the video so bad at proving its points that I literally don't even have to be here. Although at this point, I want to be, because seriously, this is car crash fascinating shit. And I need to see what lakes he ends up landing in.
Number 2, intended to accomplish goals in a particular environment. And number 3, a strategic approach to achieve a unique expectation.
Right, so I can only assume that this, if he's not being intentionally dishonest, is why he thinks that there is no definition for this or many other words. But again, this is how words work. You would think a native English speaker might have noticed that at some fucking point. Fine. Although design is an odd choice of words for you to debunk evolution with, since, spoilers, evolved things aren't designed.
So the wiki definition of design sounds exactly like what happens in the genome, for example.
No it doesn't. What are you talking about? I mean, aside from the fact that many of the words you used there are in your big lists of words that have no definitions according to you and your big Brian, a genome is a collection of all the DNA in an individual cells. And the fact of the matter is, something like 10% of DNA is functional and does things, and the rest is what is known as junk DNA. Now, that's not to say that we won't discover the use of more of it as time goes on, but if even only half of it turns out to be non-executing garbage, that's still quote-unquote design that is 50% meaningless waste. AKA a design so bad it's almost like that shit was being done effectively at random, hum-de-hum-de-hum.
In DNA, RNA, and chromosome information exchange, which is the plan and blueprint for the construction of all living things.
You know, if you had a blueprint that said, kinda sorta do this maybe, and also has 10 pages of random gibberish and a funny limerick I read once. Like seriously, comparing the content of naturally developing things to the things designed by humans is a completely ludicrous endeavor, only taken on by people who understand nothing about how either works, but are damn sure they think they do. So sure, in fact, that they would never actually bother to, check.
The very definition of design.
If you say so, buddy boy. Of course, us out here in reality land prefer to use the definitions of things to actually mean the things we say, rather than just making stuff up and claiming that we were right all along for no reason. I know, we're stupid like that. I think that's why we're always so hungry. If only we could define food to always be inside us. Then we wouldn't have to spend so much of our lives eating the damn stuff.
The term design science was first introduced in 1963 by R. Buckminster Fuller, who defined design science as a systematic form of designing.
Okay, great. That's wonderful news. Fantastic. But, how is any of that going to change the fact that evolution is a fact and the evidence we have for it bear that out? Because frankly, regardless of what words you use and what people you bring up, that is not going to change. And as usual, I am going to have to re-explain that the things we know and understand about science are not some guess that is pulled out of thin air. They are explanations that account for the things we already know about the universe. And the sciences are our best attempts to explain them. Far better, you will find, than any books written by ancient assholes, and I will tell you that much for free.
Design science referred to the scientific study of design.
Cool, I'll take your word for it, seeing as it's not something I had specifically heard of till today. Now, what does that have to do with evolution? I mean, when you search design science evolution, it doesn't really come up. So if what you say is accurate and people who study design things don't study evolution to any significant degree, perhaps, just maybe, evolution is not a fucking design. Maybe? Although again, words don't mean anything, so perhaps design science is just another word for scrambled eggs.
Scientific study, that is, what is observable, demonstratable, repeatable, falsifiable. You know, real science.
Yes, you know that evolution lives in that house, right? And no, it doesn't matter that you don't like it. It's still there, and it's not leaving just because you want to move in with your skanky lover that has no business being there. And even if somehow you did manage to get evolution kicked out, that still wouldn't automatically give whatever thing you wanted to go in its place its position by default, because that's not how science works. Also, just because you know these words and say them doesn't make it an automatic win button. Although I can understand the confusion with how that's probably been the end of a lot of conversations you have ever had about science.
Design engineers and the product development industry, right down to website designers, have ever since used three important words to define a true, scientifically designed product.
What are you gibbering about? Website designers and all designers of everything you seem to be covering, all of them refer to true scientifically designed products. That is one of the most nonsensical statements I have ever heard in my whole week. And look at that graphic. I imagine the graphic designers will be sick to their stomachs to see their industry contained in such a bitch tier quote unquote design. Frankly, I'm mad for them, you bastard. How could you do that?
Form, function, and purpose.
And there it is, the thing that makes this entire thing fall apart. Oh, who am I kidding? This entire deal was already on the floor from the start. But the purpose concept, when applied to evolution, is not something that makes a whole heap of sense. Because purpose implies some kind of intent. But the things that emerge from evolution don't intentionally do the things that they do. They emerge. They work to do whatever things through a slow process that gets there eventually, maybe, or it doesn't, and that species goes extinct, while something else fills that niche instead. And oftentimes, something that has one quote-unquote purpose at one time will change its purpose to something entirely different, making the use of the word purpose entirely worthless. Just like this entire fucking video.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the